sorry.
It's okay, it's okay. As I said, I have to learn it. So it's all about a bit of practice, learning.
Right.
Okay. When you're ready,
Yeah,
yeah?
so if you can stay there. Right, we're ready to go. 1, 2, go.
Hello, Jackie. Nice to meet you. And we are talking about, I think, justice.
Okay.
Because as you can see in the whole world today, there's injustice more than justice. We hear lots of talks about peace, but we never heard someone talk about justice, especially to the so-called third world nations or developed countries. We just hear talks about peace. So, in your opinion, how can you establish just peace through justice?
I think sometimes you have to get peace within yourself. And it's always good if you feel like whatever has happened, you got justice from it. It's like victory, to me anyway. But not all the time people get that victory that they want, or
I
that
see.
they're expecting, or hope for. So, just one of the things that you have to find it within yourself to feel, feel like you have
Serene.
some type of peace within your heart and your soul, and you can carry on.
Yeah.
Because if you don't get the justice that you want, it holds you back.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
If that makes any sense.
Right. Again, from another perspective, like in the Quran, for example, and Allah Ta'ala, Allah the Almighty says, Allah Ta'ala commands you, Allah commands you to do justice. And here in the UK, for example, we see there is a justice system. We don't see people like most of the time, like if you are right, you will get your right. But however, this is only applied within the country. It's not applied universally. For example, like you have in the past, the European went to Africa, for example, and not only Africa, other countries, and they colonized those countries. And under the name of that, we are bringing you civilization and developments. But look what happened. They took their resources and they left them behind, basically worse than before. Where's the justice? There was no justice to them done. So the justice is, okay, yeah, you go there, you train them, okay, get them to stand on their own feet. No need for them to rely on you for the rest of their life. And if you want to take something, take it based on agreement. Not you take, and then you leave them with nothing. That's not justice. Yeah, that's like basically exploiting them.
Someone, not until you're in that position, innit? Not until you're in that position where something happened to you, or you have to walk that walk, then you can kind of relate to it.
Right. See that, like for example, we see lots of wars around the world,
Yes.
and we hear talks about establishing peace, but
Yeah.
we never heard establishing justice, right?
Okay.
Like for example, when you go to the UN Security Council, only 5 nations have the right to do veto, and the rest of the world they are spectators. They are just sitting and watching whatever these 5 nations decide. That's it. Right, wrong, doesn't matter. So where is that justice? Who gave the authority for the 5 nations or 5 superpowers to rule the whole world, and the rest of the countries, they are just sitting on the bench and doing nothing basically, apart from contributing to the UN and paying their monthly or whatever fees they have to pay per month to the UN. That's not justice. That's injustice, right? And we hear lots they help developing nations. How they are helping them? Look, how long it's been since the West, the European nations were in, for example, in Africa, for example, 100 years. But where's the African nations today? They are still relying on them. That means nothing done to them. It wasn't done to them justly. Basically, they were their resources were taken up till today, and they are just still in their first place. Nothing happened. So that's why we see wars always around the world, because there's no justice. For example, look what happened to Iraq. They went there to establish so-called democracy. But look what happened. It is worse 100 million times than before. Look at Palestine. No one is talking about what's happening there. So there's no justice. If we want to establish everlasting peace, we have to establish justice. And justice means justice, not like superpower controlling weak nations, developed nations, third world country nations, as they call it.
It's all right you're talking about justice, but at the same time, as participants, you have to join in, or spectators. Sometimes you have to get into it to change things. That's my opinion. You can't just be talking about justice and people are not changing with the world. In order to change the world, you have to be a part of it. You have to participate. Does that make any sense?
Participate in a sense. What do you mean by participate?
Because it's like you're telling me they're spectators.
No, there are many spectators.
Yeah, there are many spectators in many cases.
Yes, they are made spectators. They allow them just to watch, not to participate. Well, this is not justice. Like, you know, Security Council or
I
UN,
understand what you're saying, yeah.
UN, like, why 5 nations? Why not the whole world? Where is the democracy here? There's no democracy here. 5 nations are controlling the whole world. How come? What about, for example, what about the African countries? So many of
Yeah,
them.
that's what I'm trying to say. You can't just be spectators. You have to participate
Yeah,
into
100%.
things in order to change it.
Absolutely, yeah.
So if you're just looking and saying, oh yeah, you know, there's a mud puddle there, you either need to write a letter to get that puddle filled with, you know, concrete or something. You can't just be spectators. You know,
Yeah.
we live in a community, we live in a world where if you don't participate, then nothing changes.
That's correct, yeah. That's correct.
That's my opinion, you know.
It is injustice for these nations not to participate. So every country, like, you know, one country, one vote, not 5 countries, they represent the whole world. So, and the ultimate purpose of the UN after the Second World War is to keep peace. But unfortunately, peace cannot be built without justice. So yeah, we hope and pray that they get to their senses before it is too late, especially because of what's happening in the world today, wars everywhere.
I believe that, you know, even though according to our religion and whatever, I'm a Christian and I believe in God help those who help themselves. I can't just sit at home and think that, yeah, I'm going to change. I had to come out of my house and say, you know, I'm going to speak at school now. I want to see more what's going on. You know, there's more out there to offer. You don't sit at home and learn everything.
No, you just
know?
go and exchange ideas.
Yeah, you come out here, you meet people, and you talk, and it extends your knowledge as well. So it's not about closed doors. It's about going through the door and finding solutions.
And be open-minded to
not just to listen to me and you, but to listen to other people.
Everyone, yeah.
You know, because other people matter.
True.
And other people's opinion matters. So to me, one man can't build the world. It takes a whole village or a whole island to build and make changes.
Like they did here in the UK after the Second World War. Like, for example, the railway, they were built by the Irish, and the buses were driven by people from West Indies.
Oh yeah.
And who else? Because I was studying.
It takes a whole nation to change.
Exactly.
Because when my parents came here, you know, it was no Irish, no dogs, and they just couldn't tolerate the system. So they went back home. They had their kids and they went back home. You know, and the world has changed because there are people with tolerance and dedication and they stay and they fight, and you know, it's a changed world. We've come a long way.
I'm glad
see-
someone sees that. No, I'm glad you see
Yeah,
that.
no, the world
Because
has changed. Even when I came to London, London is not the same London that I came to. It's more
What year was
open. Sorry?
What year was it?
87, if I'm correct.
87.
Yeah,
oh,
50s.
yeah. And as I said, the world has changed. See, Philippines, they're marching and they're singing.
of
They
course.
want new
Where else would they
government.
be?
You know, the population has
And
changed
by
as
the
well.
crowd that are
There's
singing.
so much more.
I'm just doing a video with
It's a
Jackie and
diverse
brother
community.
Mohammed.
So much more diversity. You know, it's not just black and white. You got Asians, you got Malaysians, you got Cubans, you got Brazilians, you got all different nations now. And we're all trying to live together. And that's the beauty of life.
That's true,
We
yes.
should live together and be peaceful, and even though there's a war, you know, we still can't tell ourselves it's all about war. There's always wars.
You know, talking about living together and about the multi-ethnicity, there is a verse in the Quran that says, "We created you from a man and a woman, and we made you tribes so that you know each other, yeah, and the best amongst you is the more righteous." You see, unfortunately, there is this ideology, especially like in America, somewhere so-called the KKK, the white supremacy. They believe that the white people are human beings, and the rest they are not considered human. See,
That's not correct. It could
and
not
you
be
know,
correct.
it's very weird.
Stay together, guys. Stay
So
together.
it's very weird because who decides that who's the supreme
We
race?
can't
from
teach our
nothing?
children that. It's wrong.
It's wrong. In the Second World War in Germany, they thought they have, they are the chosen one, and the rest they are not even second or third class. They are not. They don't consider them at all. So it's very dangerous ideology.
I think we've come a long way and we have survived, and we should let it get better, not worse. You know, we didn't just fight for human rights for no reason. You know, we should continue. So if that's a form of justice, I'll vote for it. I'll definitely vote for it.
We all have eyes, we have one brain, two eyes, hands, legs. The only difference is if someone is white or black or brownish or whatever, it means one thing for me that they came from a different geographical area. Doesn't mean they are more intelligent or less intelligent. Doesn't mean anything. It means one thing. He came from a place where it is more upland.
I see myself as a black woman. Whether it's a different shade or whatever, I just see myself as a black woman. So I know we have come a long way, and I know that black people can be successful, can be loving, caring people.
We had Barack Obama, he was the
Prime
president.
Minister, yeah,
President of the US,
glory
yeah.
to that, you know.
And
Because
you had Muhammad Ali, very famous champion,
and
boxer,
Martin Luther
Martin
just march for
Luther King.
nothing.
Yeah.
You know, it's a dream and it came through.
And you had, what's his name?
X.
What was his name? Malcolm X.
Lots of people that do lots of things and
Yeah.
contribute to
So,
Steve
and you
Biko.
had the lady
Steve
who,
Biko.
who finished this systematic racism in America. What was her name? The one who went on the bus.
Rosa Parks.
Yeah.
tons of them.
She basically-
Names that I can't even remember. Hello, uncle, how are you?
She made history. Yeah.
Life goes on, isn't it? But it's like you said, sometimes people need to get justice. Because I think it's their outlook on life.
But they will feel that they are human. They are not like considered
If we're not given justice, we won't have satisfaction.
100%.
We won't find peace.
Human respect.
So yeah, it is important.
Very. Because here, like for example in the UK, if there is any issue, they go to court. And the justice system here is great. In my opinion, coming from Syria, there must be some kind of justice, but overall, let's talk about overall, there is some kind of justice. But this is not applied universally. Right? I agree with the Palestinians and the Jews. Okay? They said many
That's why
times.
there's so many protests at times, because people are protesting and trying to find, you know, the justice that they see.
And they said many times, two states. Fine, okay, do two states and divide this country. No one is talking about it. Give them these people. No one is saying that the Jews they should not have country, no problem. But let's have it equally. You have country, I have country. Not you have the whole thing and I'm living there like not even a tenant.
Yeah. You're not welcome in your own country.
Yeah. No one said the Jews should leave. No, live peacefully.
Nice talking to you.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I invited Simon before, and I like to invite him before. We have the biggest, the largest mosque in the Western Europe, Jordan. You know, this is Jordan is the first station on the Northern Line. I'd like to invite you there as well if you would like to visit. Do you live in London?
I do.
Whereabouts?
Southeast.
South, oh, okay, or not far. Lewisham, is it like Lewisham
that
area?
sort of type,
Yeah, so you're not far.
Well, that was a brilliant debate.
Is it?
But I missed half of
It's
it.
just
You missed half of it? By what?
No, bloody memory in the phone. So
Okay.
I've got to get an SD card.
You want to erase anything, I'll show you how to do it. I'm just saying.
I don't have enough storage there. So I'm going to have to...
always do it again.
The things that you already put up, you know what you have already done? Put up, you can erase those.
I put that. Something. I'm going to have a look at it. But yeah, I've got to get an SD card to shove in so I can create more storage. But that was a lovely debate. But stay there, I was singing.